explain this what I call rare competition.
Somehow it may be rare, but it was not so rare for me.
Yes.
When I was in school, I had equal interest in both science as well as history. And I was one of the good students in my school, so I used to get the best marks in both science as well as history. So after 10th, I wanted to continue both the streams as a subject. But unfortunately, in the education system, we could not do that.
Yes.
So science was taken as a main subject, and history remained as a passion and elective which was beyond the syllabus.
Okay.
So both continued together.
Okay.
So after a point of time when I was quite well settled in my job, even when I was in IIT, in my free time I used to read history because I used to enjoy it.
Yes.
Science was like the core, which was my job and what I have to do. But history was like a pastime in which one enjoyed and one could really delve deep into something mysterious.
Yes. Okay, so I read in one of your Facebook posts that your quest with history started in the summer of 1998 when you were completely free for 3 months and you had the opportunity to do whatever you wished to do. And it's only then, when you decided to delve deeper into the history and the India's greatest heritage. But when I checked your LinkedIn profile, it says, complete different story. Because in my opinion, your school education has not been uniform, right? As your LinkedIn profile says, in one place, it seems that you were destined to travel and explore from your very childhood. So do you think that this quest for history, which you say developed in 1998, was the mature expansion of the quest which was lying since childhood?
Quite right. Actually, there was a feeling in my mind, like I told you, I did my 10th in 1985.
Yes.
But that was the time as the subject history ended.
Yes.
But gradually, it was there in my mind. So till 97, I didn't have any time.
Yes.
When I went to IIT, again the first year passed away.
Yes.
But once, after that I had the time, then I could do anything. So I felt I should get some history books from the library.
Yes.
And now I should devote some time for my passion.
Yes.
So that is how I said my quest started. Because before that, it was like a subject
Yes.
till 10th.
Yes.
For next 3 years, I was almost without history.
Yes.
But now that I had time,
Yes.
I wanted to continue it, and so it started full scale. So that way.
Okay.
So apart from my regular education, regular courses, whatever time I used to get, I used to devote for study of history or visiting some sites around wherever I was.
How many silent pages you have already explored till now, and how many silent pages you have planned to explore in near future?
It has like become part of life. So wherever I go, I visit even for a short time. I generally inquire from people about such sites which are lying around. I haven't counted, but to count as such, but I must have visited more than 200 sites all over the country. Even not just in the country, even if I have been to some foreign destination,
Yes.
even there I would like to ask people about some site which is lying neglected,
Yes.
which has some historical importance. So even in Korea or some other country when I go, or I've tried to locate some sites with some Indian connection.
Some particular example
Like in Korea, when I was in Seoul, so I was looking for Buddhist sites associated with Buddhism.
Yes.
So I could come across some sites which were 6th century AD, 7th century AD,
Yes.
Buddhist stupas around Korea.
Yes.
So some Indian connection with that.
So you say that the first book that you read after your quest with history started in 1998 was The Light of Asia. What impact this book left on your quest with history, or how did it deepen your interest, in other words?
See, Light of Asia is about Buddha.
Yes.
So Buddha's personality is so magnificent and is so attractive. So when you talk about him, you feel like a person who is not very different from you.
Yes.
Because he is facing the same dilemmas that you are facing.
Yes.
And when you see that these dilemmas were being faced by a person more than 2500 years ago, then you see how history is so real. So what had happened then
Yes.
is almost the same story as with the human beings even today.
Happening now.
So Buddha had found some answers,
Yes.
but many answers still remain.
Yes.
So when you study history more, you gradually realize that human beings have been questioning so many things, and we are still questioning. So that whole journey has been wonderful.
So you also say that the heritage consciousness in India is low, more particularly in our state Bihar. So what reasons do you see behind such a low heritage consciousness in the people?
Actually, even reasons for that could be historic. Like generally, people in India are more bothered about food, education for children, so many things, like more materialistic. They become more materialistic, or they are too spiritual to think about the materialistic aspect. So they are both are the extremes.
Yes.
So the middle path is yet to be found out.
Again, Buddha comes into
So some sort of, not exactly, but
yes.
like they are a set of people who are too materialistic, so they do not have time for heritage, or the other set of people are too spiritual, so they do not bother about heritage. So generally, India is a very deeply religious society. So anything which is attached with religion is respected, regarded, protected. But anything which gets disassociated with religion is normally forgotten. So something which had a very high point of time in the past,
Yes.
but is lying neglected because it may not be associated with religion today, or that side may have been forgotten.
And do you see any hope from the present youth generation in terms of developing heritage consciousness and preserving our historical identities and values?
Certainly, because the youth are the main stakeholders in this whole exercise. Because unless the youth will understand the importance of our heritage, our history, they will not be able to take India forward in the next century. So the way India is going to lead in this millennium would depend on India's youth. And only a youth which has solid foundations and understanding of India's deep cultural heritage would be able to steer it forward. So the only hope is from the youth, because the other people already did what they had to do, they have done. But India in the new millennium will depend on what the youth of India thinks to do.
Sir, you have made the famous Rohtasgarh Fort accessible for the general public, which had once become a safe harbor for dacoits and Naxals of the area. Tell me, sir, what were the challenges involved in the process?
Challenges were it was very challenging, because at that point of time, like people normally even mentioning Rohtas Fort would make one tremble with fear. And so was the case even the police forces. So first aspect was the physical aspect. So being there, exploring the place, understanding the place, finding different routes to reach the place. Because it was like an ascending climb. That was one part. The next part was to befriend the local people. So that was done over a period of time, like more than a year or so, in which we could actually go and talk to the people and try to explain what the benefits of tourism in their areas and how they could contribute to it. So actually, it was a mixed way, a holistic approach in which it worked. Finally, the locals associated with the police, and we could actually make it a success.
Sir, being associated with such a stressful life.
See, basically, police is indeed a stressful life, but you will also appreciate that police is, you have to travel a lot in the field. So at the times when you are not doing normal policing, there could be time you could be doing some other activity. And even at times when you are doing normal policing, suppose you are going to visit a crime scene. So on the return, you may come across some site which is just lying on the roadside. So you have two options, either you go to the site or you just go to your home. If you spend 10 minutes and take some pictures, that remains with you. So that was how I could travel so extensively. Finding time when you're passionate about something, you will always find the time.
And now I would like to ask you on record about your books, upcoming books and your plan of writing books. And this is on record.
I've been writing a blog since about 2013.
Yes.
Which has now reached quite a lot of people. I plan to come out with my book in a year or so. Like I'm targeting 2018 for publishing my first book. And I propose to name it with the same name, Siren Peri, with different themes. So I'm not very sure because I've already written a lot. I have to compile it in a form. I have to make it in a concise form which is very appreciated by the reader. So I'm working on it.
My last question will be in Hindi because this is related to दिनकर जी. सर आप खुद मैंने कहीं पढ़ा आपके फेसबुक पोस्ट पे ही आपके ब्लॉग पे ही कि दिनकर जी का आपके व्यक्तित्व पे बहुत प्रभाव पड़ा है, आपके जीवन में बहुत प्रभाव पड़ा है. और जब आप छात्र जीवन में थे तो अपने रूम में भी उनकी कविताएं कुछ कविताएं लिख कर रखा करते थे. तो उनके जीवन का आपके व्यक्तित्व पर क्या प्रभाव पड़ा है? चूँकि वो हिंदी साहित्य के विद्यार्थी होने के साथ साथ इतिहास के भी विद्यार्थी रहते और उन्होंने अपना ये स्नातक जो किया था इतिहास से किया था. तो उनके बारे में बताएं, आपके व्यक्तित्व पर क्या?
मेरे साथ एक और जो थोड़ी अजीब सी बात है, दिनकर जी का जो गांव है, मेरा जो गांव है, दोनों पड़ोसी गांव हैं. और लगभग उनका जो घर है, जो हवाई दूरी होगी तो मेरे घर 2-3 किलोमीटर ज़्यादा नहीं है. कहीं न कहीं मैं उनसे बड़ा जुड़ाव महसूस करता हूँ. खास करके जो मेरी रुचि है उसमें दिनकर जी जब स्टूडेंट लाइफ में, विद्यार्थी जीवन में कठिनाई का सामना पड़ा या संघर्ष करना पड़ा, तो उनकी कविताओं ने बहुत प्रेरणा दी।
जी
और जब कभी कभी मन टूट जाता था
जी
तो उन कविताओं की पंक्ति को दोहराने से पूरा मन फिर से बन जाता था।
जी
तो दिनकर जी का एक जो ओज और एक आत्मविश्वास वाली जो कविताएं रही,
जी
बचपन में प्रेरित करती रही, बाद में और भी पढ़ने का मौका लगा।
जी
और अच्छा, एक बड़ी बात को साधारण भाषा में कह जाना
जी
सबके बस की बात नहीं थी, लेकिन
जी।
दिनकर में वो इतनी साधारण बात में भाषा में इतनी बड़ी बात कह जाते थे
जी
जो आपके पाठक के मन में बहुत बड़ी छाप छोड़ती है।
जी कोई एक
बहुत ही
विशेष
चिंतनशील आदमी थे
जी
और इतिहास और संस्कृति में भी उनकी बड़ी गहरी रुचि थी।
जी कोई एक विशेष पंक्ति जिसे आप याद करते हो उन दिनों से?
उसमें जैसे एक कविता है उनकी, आशा का दीपक,
जी
उसमें है कि थक कर बैठ गए क्या भाई, मंजिल दूर नहीं है।
जी
उस तरह की कविता है। उसमें एक लाइन है,
जी
और अधिक ले जांच,
जी
और अधिक ले जांच,
ईश्वर
देवता इतना क्रूर नहीं है,
जी।
थक कर बैठ गए क्या भाई।
जी
और तो उसमें आदमी जो है हारता जा रहा है,
जी
उसको लास्ट में दिनकर कहते हैं कि
जी
भाई एक बार और जांच लो, तो देवता इतना क्रूर नहीं, इतनी जो मेहनत किए हो।
जी
वो जो पंक्ति है बड़ा मोटिवेट करती है।
जी
और अधिक ले जांच, देवता इतना क्रूर नहीं है,
जी
थक कर बैठ गए क्या भाई, मंजिल दूर नहीं है।
थैंक यू सो मच सर।